I got a Transcendent Military Victory on Civ 7's hardest difficulty without building a single military unit. And that's not clickbait. If you didn't know, achieving a Transcendent Victory after the new Tester Time update means you have to have 6 times the score of the second place player when you're only halfway through the Age of Exploration. This is usually hard enough playing normally, and military victories are of course meant to be all about building an army, setting your neighbour's land on fire, and eventually conquering the world. So today, I decided to do the complete opposite. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so taking a look at our setup here, we are playing as Xerxes, King of Kings, who importantly gets +1 settlement limit per age, and for our mementos we have Groma and Corona Civica, giving us 1 expansionist point which will allow us to train settlers 25% faster, and we also have 1 additional settlement limit per age, bringing us up to 5 from turn 1. This does come with a downside that it costs 50% more gold to convert towns to cities. However, because we are playing as Carthage, that won't be much of an issue. We also get this handy reminder that we can only have 1 city in our empire, but otherwise let's get stuck in. So taking a look at our start here, this is looking pretty good overall. We've got 2 sheep here, some gold, some camels. Overall a pretty standard start for Xerxes, who has a bit of a desert bias going on. I think looking at the water here, we're all on fresh water. We've got a few mountains here, which is nice. Not that we're particularly going to care too much about culture or buildings in general this game, to be honest. We only really care about production, and this is a pretty solid production start overall. Let's go for it. We're going to settle right in place, and here we are. We have our city of Carthage, from where great things will come, no doubt. So what are we going to build first? Of course, just like any game, let's get some scouts on the move. I think we're going to go with 3 this game. And as for our technologies, I think it's fair enough to go for sailing first, just so we can explore as easily as possible. So this will let us move onto the water. And otherwise, after that, we'll probably move towards irrigation for that extra settlement limit once again. So moving our scout around here, we've discovered that there's a natural wonder nearby us. Now that's all well and good, but we're probably not really going to care too much about this at all, to be honest. Ultimately, we're just here to settle as many settlements as we can. We do not care at all about anything else other than this metric up here, how many settlements we have settled. That's how we're going to win this game. So natural wonders, it's fine. It doesn't impact us at all. Now we've got sailing. We can move the scout into the water to pick up that discovery. And from now, let's move up to irrigation. And after that, we can probably just hit future tech and call it a day. As for our civics, I think for this one, I think we're actually going to start mysticism first, which is pretty rare for me to do, but I'll tell you why. There's a pantheon we want to get this game that gives us an increased production to settlers, and that is the only thing we're going to be building, so let's go ahead and just grab mysticism. And we've got 3 scouts out now that we can send out to explore, so let's do that, pick up a discovery here, and let's go ahead and grab the food to get us close to that 5 population. As for the buildings, again, we only care about production, so let's go ahead and get the harbour down. There's a few fishing boats here that we can improve eventually, so I won't go to waste fully. It also goes to population 5 a lot faster, so we can start building our settlers. As for our government, now these are the new governments with the latest Brush and Blade update. I think the only one we really care about here is oligarchy. The celebration here gives us 200 gold immediately, which is pretty good. Let's take that. And as for our first government slot, let's go for charismatic leader. That'll get us our culture faster. This just means we'll research mysticism just 1 turn quicker, which will get us our altar, which we do, again, we want to get this before we start spamming our settlers if we can. But at this rate, it looks like we're going to get to 5 population before the altars, so that's totally fine. As for the next growth, let's go ahead and move up here towards this sheep. And because we got that discovery down here, that actually gave us some production, so we now add 5 population. And it begins. So let's think really carefully about what we want to queue up here, because this is pretty delicate. Okay, so we've got our production queue sorted for the next little while. So here are our colonists. Now, because we're playing Carthage, we have a unique settler here that gives us some extra population if we found a city next to a resource, which is, kind of nice, but doesn't really matter at all. More importantly than that, when we do finish this colonist, you're going to see what happens. We get 2. So this is Carthage's special ability, of course. So we get double settlers every time we get one, which is perfect for this challenge. So let's go ahead and get settling. Now in a normal game, I might go ahead and move it over to this wonder to try and, get this sorted, but we really don't care. What we're looking to do to maximize this game is nothing but settlements, right? So how do we do that? We're going to settle everything as close as physically possible between each other. So no spacing out settlements here. We are going to settle things as close as we can. The reason why scouting is so important is that because we are going to be settling so much, we're going to run into a lot of hostile city-states who are not going to be happy about the amount of settling we're going to be doing. As you can see, we've got 2 more colonists coming up in 2 turns. So we do have to scout around and try and befriend them to stop them from attacking us if we can help it. So speaking of, we've got our first hostile city-state here. Let's go ahead and befriend them because they are a military state. Not only will this make them friendly towards us, which will just make our overall settling strategy a lot easier, we get an extra settlement limit from them, which is going to be very nice to secure these early settlements faster. So again, here's our next pair of settlers. We're going to move this guy down here right on the border of our capital. And 1, 2, 3. Yep, we've got a perfect spot for just a fantastic settlement right here. Again, right on the edge of our capital. That is exactly where we want them to be going. We've met our first civ here, who's actually pretty close. We're going to go ahead and do a friendly greeting. The reason for this is we just want to avoid war at all costs. Like I said, we're not making a single military unit this entire game, so we don't have any real good way of defending ourselves. So the better terms we can keep on, with our neighbors, that's going to help us out a lot. And one of the ways, is obviously diplomatically. Ben Franklin going to get pretty annoyed with us because we probably have different governments. We have chosen different governments, so Ben's always going to probably hate us to just some degree, which is annoying. And we're going to be doing a lot of settling, so we're going to, I guess, try to settle not quite too close to his capital, but we really won't have much of a choice, I'd say. Okay, next up, now we're going to go for discipline, so we can grab our survey card here, so our scouts will get additional movement and sight. After that, we're just going to run through the Carthage tree here. We get +2 settlement limit at their final civics. That would be really important. Otherwise, the rest of the civic tree, again, pretty useless for us this game. And like I was saying, for our pantheon here, we have oral tradition, +10% production towards training settlers in cities with an altar. So that's going to be our capital. Let's go ahead and grab that. We've got our first new settlements going down here. So let's settle this one right up here, nice and close. And this one down here, Maleth. Maleth is like ridiculously protected, by the way. There's only one tile up. It is otherwise fully surrounded by cliffs, which makes for a very aesthetic city, it's got to be said. And of course, you get this classic choice on Carthage between 10% production towards buildings in all cities or 15% in the capital. Well, we only have our capital, so let's go ahead and take this one. All right, we have 2 more settlements going down here, so we can settle the great town of Leptis and Hippo. So it is turn 13, and we've got all 5 of our settlements down, 5 out of 5 on the settlement limit, and apparently 0 out of 1 on the city cap. Very nice. Turn 14, we've got 2 colonists ready with 1 million more well on the way. So let's go ahead and send these bad boys out to just the closest spot we can. And for our celebration, let's go ahead and grab 200 gold immediately. Plug in our card back here. And with that gold, we're going to head and buy the altar. You can chuck that down right there. And what we're here, the other thing we're going to do is just quickly, before we make these other colonists here, is sneak in this brickyard. This brickyard's going to stick around for a very long time, so we may as well get comfortable with it. And it's going to provide production for the rest of the game. It's going to be amplified by this altar, so no reason to delay on these. So we can go ahead and put down our 6th settlement right now, which does put us over the cap, but that's fine. In 4 turns, we'll have irrigation going up. And these towns, doesn't really matter if they're unhappy or not. It's not the end of the world, so let's go ahead and do that right now. There's irrigation, so we picked that up. We now are at 6 out of 6 on the settlement limit. So yeah, I think, to be honest, that is probably us good to go for the rest of the game. We could click on future tech here. I think let's just grab masonry. There is a chance we might need to buy walls just to defend ourselves because we won't be able to get any units. So let's get masonry, and then after that, let's go for future tech and call it a day. We have another city-state down here of Seleucia, which is great because they're an expansionist one, and they could give us another settlement limit again. But we have also discovered there's a city-state up here that I'm a little more worried about in terms of kind of thwarting our expansion here. There's also, we've got one we know that's on the water here, so got to be a little bit cautious about our water settlements, which luckily it's only Hippo, and the chances they run up here are pretty unlikely, all things considered. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and befriend this one first. And it is the city-state of Susa, which is a side city-state, which I don't really care about, but I do have to get rid of them. I can't have this aggressive city-state dealing with units for the whole game. The other reason why influence is quite important for us this game is that we can eventually incorporate these city-states as well, into our empire, which is another, settlement we can get. So that's a way for us to use our influence instead of our production and gold to generate even more settlements. Now, I will say the slightly unfortunate thing about this start is that it's going to screw us over in the next stage because it looks like we're in the center of the continent, so we don't have easy access to the distant lands at all. The good news is we can kind of just walk our settlers over to that edge of the continent if we can find it, and get them ready to go for the next stage. But yeah, it is a bit of a natural disadvantage if you do start in the middle of the map. It's always, usually better in Civ 7 to be starting near the coastlines that you can get over to the distant lands as quick as possible. There's a lot of value to be had over there, but obviously, particularly for this challenge, distant lands will give us 5 points for every settlement over there instead of 4. So it's, it's a 25% increase if you think about it. Doesn't seem like much, but it does make a difference. So Savash here has given us a warrior, and as, in accordance with the rules, let's go ahead and delete that bad boy. No military units here. So Savash is now our suzerain. It's turn 25. Let's go ahead and grab Hegemon, which will allow us to settle another city without any sort of penalties. And I was planning on settling this one over the natural wonder down here, but there's a lot of aggression in this area coming from this city-state over here, who's just spawning an absolute ton of units. So a little bit risky to settle this right now. We can't really defend it, so I'll have to find another one. I think for our next settlement, it's probably going to be this one over here. So let's start moving this settler down, just because it's, you know, near Susa. It's pretty far away from Benjamin as well, so hopefully he doesn't get too angry. And that's reasonably close to our capital and our sort of, you know, hub of cities here. We've got a bit of a Pentagon situation going on here. But Susa has decided to attack us, but to be honest, they're not going to get through these defenses before we manage to befriend them in 2 turns, so that's all good. And we've got a few tricks up our sleeve, even if that was the case, so hold tight. And here's some really good news, is that we've just discovered our first sighting of the distant lands over here. And as you can see, they are extremely close to us. So if we get, you know, just a mass of settlers over here, camping the age out, we can get them over here in, you know, 3 or 4 turns and get to settling. So that's very exciting, very good to see. Hopefully this is a decent sized island over here. It does appear to be the case that there's at least a few islands over here. We can see, you know, a few patches of distant lands over on this side, which is really good to see. Our scout down here has just done a search and also found that there's, you know, a couple discoveries over here, which indicates that there's land, which again, really good to see some nice, close, distant lands. It is a bit harder on a Pangea map usually to get to the distant lands, so this is good to see. We do have a little bit of a barbarian incursion happening here, mostly from this city set over here, Kalchion. We do also have a boat coming in from Megiddo, which, like I was saying, it has managed to, you know, wiggle its way up towards Hippo here, which might get pretty frustrating, but hopefully they just sort of go away. We really can't do anything to defend this, so particularly against a boat. In fact, what we might have to do is actually buy some ancient walls in here. It's only 120 gold, but it should slow down this attack quite significantly if they do decide to start hitting it. And there's the triumph of founding 8 settlements. So here's Motia. We've got straight away a bunch of wild game, which I guess is nice, but there you go. 8 settlements, all nice and snug. And we're just trying to settle, you know, as best we can to not piss anyone off, you know, so settling near our city-states that are becoming friendly to us. You know, Benjamin Franklin isn't the biggest fan of us anymore. You can see his leader agenda is really starting to sting there, but overall we're maintaining pretty good relationships with everyone around us. Once we befriend this city-state, things will look a lot more positive around here. Also got to keep in mind that every city-state we manage to befriend this age is one that will stay friendly in the next stage as well. So it's going to just make, you know, the whole game a lot smoother in general. I did consider going someone like Machiavelli for the extra influence over King of Kings, because I'm not actually sure how much the settlement limit really matters when it comes down to it, but definitely an idea for an alternate strategy. Tecumseh would also be an interesting choice because he's friendly with all city-states by default, but here we are, we're committing to the King of Kings strat. Speaking of settlement limit, we just got our final Carthage Civic, which brings us up to 9 settlement limit, so we can go ahead and activate a few of these sleeper agents here that have been hanging around. I think in terms of settlements, this one's just a little bit too close to Champa, who I'm not going to have time to befriend for quite a while, so I think we'll have to look for somewhere else to settle. And there is Susa becoming our suzerain. We really do not care for any of these, so let's go ahead and just grab the free tech and see what it gives us. Bronze working. Fantastic. That's great. Literally does nothing for us. Here is the big turn here. Hopefully this settler can finally get away. There it is. So we can move him over towards this city-state finally and settle this natural wonder. And our first colonist is in position, ready to go when the age transitions and we research. I think it's the one that unlocks observatories, I think, that lets you go over deep ocean. I said that getting bronze working is useless, but you know what? Let's go ahead and buy this barracks here. That's going to give us a bit more production. And while we're here, because we have so much gold, let's go ahead and just grab our unique quarter as well. We'll do it over here. This will allow us to put in 2 more resources, so there you go. Although I'm actually going to leave this incense not plugged in because I think the the 0.6 science is not as good as the gold and happiness, so we can leave this out. And to be honest, let's do the same for the flax, and probably the mangoes can stay in because that's food, and the rest of this is fine. The good news is we have enough influence now to start befriending another city-state, and I am tempted to go for Seleucia. Although Champa is a lot closer to us and can actually sort of make us, you know, it's going to give us a bit of a headache if they start sending raids and things over to us, so I think as much as I would like Seleucia, let's go ahead and grab Champa. And now we can go ahead and get our 9th settlement down, Thysadrus over here, next to our natural wonder. And the only reason this is somewhat decent is that eventually this will become a resort town, and these natural wonder tiles do give us a decent amount of production, you know, 4 food, 2 production, which becomes 2 gold. So it's fine. it doesn't really help us or hinder us that much. We've actually just worked through our whole production queue of colonists here. So we've got, again, another pretty tough decision to make as to what we're going to go ahead and produce now. Now we've got that sorted, let's go ahead and move back to the game. So a second settler has hit the muster point. I'd love to try and send some settlers to, be waiting on this side of the world as well, on the other side of the Pangea, but this is like a death march through here. It's completely unscouted and surrounded by, as far as I can see, a lot of hostile city-states. But let's go ahead and just do a bit of a gamble and send this one guy over this way. He can pick up a discovery on the way, so he's, part-time scout, part-time colonist. It appears this scout has run into a little bit of an issue here. Really hoping he survives this hit, because Champa is friendly with us next turn, so it'd be a shame to lose this hard-working colonist, but I guess we'll see what happens. This guy's admiring life. He's thinking, what a wonderful day, and that is unfortunately the last thing that guy ever thought. Our colonist died right when Champa decided to sign a peace deal with us. Absolute tragedy. It's like we've got Blackbeard in our game here. Always good to see this fella, because he's usually pretty useless. Now, if we do decide to take a quick look here at the leaderboard, we're already, of course, leading on the military side of things. We've got the most settlements by far on account of our settlement limit, so that's good to see. See, we are starting to stack up quite a bit of gold because of Xerxes' bonus giving us 10% in all settlements, which is really, really nice. So let's go ahead, because we don't have enough colonists already. Let's go ahead and buy 2 more. The crisis has begun. Looks like we've got the plague crisis, which is totally fine by us. I mean, if this was the barbarian crisis, which is left on, by the way, I've just realized, it probably would have been game over. So that's kind of a lucky D3 we just rolled there. Let's go ahead and plug in prognosis, which does absolutely nothing. Classic. Most impactful Civ 7 policy crisis card. And now that we are coming towards the end of the age, I probably will start looking at incorporating some of these, which we can start next turn on Savash. And we did get an extra settlement limit there, so we can go ahead. I think this guy's been waiting his turn for long enough, so we can go ahead and found this absolute gem of a settlement. I mean, it's got to be said, if you're one of these players that for whatever reason just really doesn't like having holes in your empire, this is the strat to play. I mean, this is a very tightly knit community we've got here with, no holes, or the holes are being filled in as we speak. No such luck if you're someone who doesn't like having holes in their empire, but also doesn't like having any overlap. In that case, you're going to be in some serious trouble. 2 more settlers here we can go ahead and send to the front lines, which is just going to be over this direction. And again, because we have so much money, let's go ahead and buy 2 more. Susa has now been incorporated into our empire, so +1 city right there, which is good. What's nice, because we revealed 33% of the map, we did manage to get another free colonist. Unfortunately, we didn't get 2, which would have been pretty funny, but there you go. How good are triumphs, am I right? All right, stage 2 of the crisis has hit, and of course, as the crisis intensifies here, we have, we're taking a card here that gives us increased food, so how good is that? So there is the 10-turn countdown until the next age, and I mean, it may look like we've got a pretty questionable empire over here, but if you look at the stats, I mean, we're doing pretty well. We've got more gold than everyone in the game except the Mughals, which obviously makes sense. That's the whole thing. But yeah, we are doing really well on settlements right now. Obviously in the lead for military still. Lakshmi looks like she's going to be the most annoying person for us to overcome, and we've got just an absolute ton of settlers here waiting in the winds. They are ready to go for the next stage to absolutely colonize the hell out of the distant lands. With the last stage of the crisis now, so looking around, I think we'll just go ahead and take the -10 gold. I think that's fine. Yep. We have managed to find the end of the continent, or what looks to be the start of the end of the continent. So this is really good. If we can get at least 1 settler sort of over in this direction by this age, we can, fan out our settlements from here, which will be really nice. Let's go ahead, and we have a trade route we can send off here. Let's go ahead and send it to Ben Franklin. We really just don't want this guy to declare war on us, so let's keep him happy. I'm a little bit concerned about these hostile boats over here. There's actually 2 separate city-states in the distant lands over here that are going to cause a bit of a headache if they stick around, so hopefully these guys sort of buzz off. Right, final turn of the age, and we did manage to get 2 more settlers out, which is really great, so those will be ready in the next stage. And the last thing we're going to do here just before the age ends is, because these are all going to go back to neutral city-states, we really don't want to be settling these cities when they're going to get angry at us. So let's go ahead and just settle these all now. There's a whole bunch here that I've had waiting in the wings in these absolutely phenomenal settling spots. So let's go ahead and make sure we get all of these guys settled now. So we're up to 15 settlements now. think I probably should have gone up here and settled this salt a lot sooner if I could turn back time. So definitely a bit of a mistake there. You know, 20% production towards settlers times 2 is really, really good. Funnily enough, we do actually have the Bermuda Triangle over here. So instead of going over to the distant lands, which is really close, we could play Bermuda Triangle roulette and see where we end up. Probably will not be doing that if I'm being honest. All right, so as for the age transition, we are going to go ahead and stay as Carthage. Why is that? Because once again, for the next stage, we receive a second merchant or settler each time we purchase or train one, which is just absolutely ridiculous for this challenge. So let's take a look at our empire before we finish up here. 15 out of 11 settlements, which, you know, one of these things is not like the other. If you can look around at the other settlements, the AI have settled. And you may think like this is a ridiculous strategy, but to be honest, I'm basically playing optimally right now. I mean, you can imagine how quickly this would go by if I actually bought some units and captured some settlements. So yeah, we're doing pretty well. So let's go ahead and stay as Carthage. And as for our mementos here, we don't need the expansionist point anymore. We've already got the settlement production. So what we can do is just go ahead and take Gordianot, which now we have, you know, +2 settlement limit when we go to the next stage. So overall, that's going to maximize our settlement limit over into the next stage, which, you know, we only really care about so that our cities can remain nice and productive and keep generating gold for us, which is the only, you know, real resource we care about, gold and production in our capital. So let's go ahead and transition to the next stage here as we, you know, look at our empire. Let's, you know, take a moment to stop, you know, breathe out between the ages here as we move into the exploration age, and we can admire the absolutely phenomenal empire that we've built, which, you know, is consisted entirely of really, really low value settlements in really low value locations. Apart from that one, of course, which is next to a natural wonder, but we are just this absolute plague of an empire spreading out from Carthage, settling in absolutely any location we can find, any settleable tile. It's got our name on it. Here we are in the age of exploration. And as for our dedications to this age, we do not care about any of this. So let's go ahead and grab 2 settlers for free. We'll take the influence as well. And the extra social policy slot, sure, why not? So let's go ahead and confirm those. And okay, right when I hit that button just now, we definitely could have moved our capital. You can actually have 2 cities as Carthage if you move your capital, at least last time I played them since Test of Time. So tempted to reload, but I think we'll play it out. Look, this strategy is so broken, I think we can do it with 1 city. So not only is this a 1 city challenge, this is a 1 city challenge, no military units, domination victory. So let's play on. So first things first, let's go ahead and buy our stone cutter up here. And I think let's go ahead and replace the altar from the last stage, because we don't care about that. We'll keep the production building around the barracks, even though it's outdated. And now, once again, let's go ahead and they're no longer called colonists, they're now settlers. Let's queue them up. There we go, that should be enough. We can plug in our truffles here, which give us an additional plus 20% production towards training units. And there we are, resources are good to go. As for our government, once again, we're just going to go ahead and take plutocracy because of this celebration here. An extra 600 gold immediately is pretty good for us. And as for our tech, you know, again, we only have one choice here, really, and that is cartography, which allows civilian and support units to enter deep ocean, which is what is going to allow our settlers to get over to the distant lands. For our civics, again, nothing here really matters too much. Let's go ahead and just grab the Carthaginian Renaissance. And we do get a free boat here with this age. So again, let's go ahead and delete this cog and we are back to following the rules. Now, a lot of settlements here are going to take an absolute lifetime to grow. So Leptis, you can see, it's going to take 22 turns to grow. So I think where that's basically the case, we're going to go ahead and specialize these bad boys into resort towns. The one exception here I'm going to make is for Utica, which is connected to 13 towns and 1 city. So let's go ahead and make this a hub town, which will be generating us 14 influence. Pretty good. Otherwise, we now have the very fun task of selecting all these units and issuing all their commands again. So let's go ahead and run through that. It looks like they actually changed it. There must have been a change a few patches ago where units that are asleep before the age transition stay asleep, which is what an amazing quality of life feature. So well done. That's going to save me a lot of time this turn and a lot of carpal tunnel. In terms of befriending city-states, let's go ahead and get Canauj going on the move here because they're reasonably close and they're also an expansion city-state, so we can get settlement limit from them. Settler is in place now. We had to get open borders because the settler actually got stuck on this one tile here. So we got open borders with Friedrich now. And we just got to remember to not move this settler over this Bermuda Triangle tile. Really praying future me remembers to do that. Otherwise, essentially how this age is going to work is that as soon as we get to 50% age progress, it means that victories are going to open up. So at that point, if we have 6 times the score of the second player, we will start a 5-turn countdown and then win the game. So that's our goal right now, which may look unachievable, but again, we have a lot of settlers waiting in the wings here, ready to go. We got one turn to go here, 14% of the way through the age. So ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Here we go. There is cartography. So let's go ahead and we'll get our scouts moving first, hoping to find some land where we can. Now, good thing this guy was up nice and early in the turn. Let's move this guy up and around. He might be our first settler to break land. As for our tech, we do not really care. I guess we'll go for feudalism if we even manage to reach it this game. And let's just slowly move, laggily here, all of our settlers over to the distant lands. And this is definitely a case of, some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So hopefully they will find a place to land, but overall, I mean, again, the islands here look pretty close, which is really good to see. This is not what you want to see, though. Hostile city-states where I'm trying to land, that is not ideal. And the March of the Ents is proving to be a pretty good success so far. I mean, like I was sort of hoping for, this island is pretty long, so good to see. But the settlers that are coming out of Carthage that are nice and fresh, I'm just moving them to sort of closer locations. I doubt they're going to be able to make it to the distant lands because we're so far away in time before we get to 50%. So these guys are going to go ahead and fill in, a lot of the lands around here that we've left open up until this point. I know we've got some land over here, so let's start scoping the place out. And ideally, we try and, space these out as best we can, but without full visibility of what this island looks like, we're just got to kind of do our best here. I will say it's not ideal that the game is lagging for like a solid half second every single time I select a settler. Okay, we've met a new AI here as we're going to the distant land. So it looks like, some people have possibly gotten here before us. Obviously the AI, on Deity does get a lot of science. So we've met Napoleon here. Hopefully he's going to cause too many issues for us. So like I said, can't really tell where the best place to settle is going to be. Let's just keep moving these guys up and just try and settle as narrowly as possible. It looks like this is just a spaghetti of an island, which isn't great for us, but we'll take what we can. Do a bit of a search here to get an idea, and it looks like there's room for a good amount of settlements over here, and it keeps going, which is good to see. This island here looks to be a little less productive. It's just a couple mountains, and this guy I suspect is going to sail to his death, but he bravely explored this middle section here for us. All right, just planning out my settlements here. So we're going to have one down here and then up 3, one over here, and then one up here. So this guy can actually go ahead and get started. So we have our first distant land settlement over here, and we are going to spend a little bit of gold. And the reason we're doing that is so that we can get this city up to population 5 as quick as we can. So we'll just buy, again, another cheap building here. Up to population 5. So now we can actually buy more settlers out of here if we want to. And again, every time we buy a settler over here, we actually get 2, so good base of operations if we do end up needing more settlers. Over on this side of the map, we've again found some pretty decent spots by the looks of it. So, as long as we get this one down, we can do the same thing, get up to population 5, and then start spamming out settlers from there. It looks like there might be some more land over here as well. Got a discovery and some land as well. So this is looking really good. We've managed to, it's all panned out basically about as well as we could have hoped. And if we go ahead and take a look at the military screens, so as you can see here, the distant land settlement gives us, 5 score instead of the base of 4. They should really add like some sort of indicator to differentiate these distant land ones. Some sort of, maybe they'd just be like a treasure island, a treasure icon up here, or even just like a capital D. Just anything to indicate that this is distant lands. It's like there might be hope for this guy yet. He has managed to come across some coast, so we might have another little island settlement here, which is happy days for this guy. So this looks like a pretty solid spot to start settling over on this island, which again, I'm not going to make too many friends over here by doing this. And we do know that there's a hostile city-state somewhere over here, so probably should try and focus my settlements, as close to the coast as I can, but this is going to be pretty dicey over here, I suspect. I think what we'll do is actually just buy another scout over here in Thanay, just so we can suss out what's happening over here a bit faster. We can actually form a pretty good idea of where this city-state is, so we can't settle within 3 tiles of it. So it's going to be, probably in this tile right here. The discoveries also usually do spawn next to city-states, so something to keep in mind. I'm guessing it's right here. Although it could also be up here, and in fact, look, it's over here somewhere. It's somewhere. I was never very good at Minesweeper. It's in one of these tiles. Yeah, another distant land settlement going up over here. Good to see. Kapara. Move this guy in position to settle over there next turn. And overall, we'll just keep on snaking all of these settlements up this island. Looks like we got one more up here, which is really good. And there's more land as well. We can see it's yellow. So send this last settler up here. You've healed up enough so you can go ahead and keep on pressing forward. Otherwise, I will take a turn in some of these guys to heal them up, just in case they have to make a voyage across the ocean. And we have broken land with this first settler over on the western side of the map. So let's go ahead and settle here. This is, I imagine, as far away as we can get from the rest of this island. So, yeah, pretty happy with that. We might go ahead and move it over here, although we can actually fit both in. So yeah, this is a good spot. This location down here is very cliffy, so we have to possibly move around down this way to find a settled spot. And speaking of hostile city-states, so we have lost a settler there to an independent power, which looks to be particularly angry, it would seem. So Vilnius over here, that's going to be really tough. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to defend against this, so my best bet really is getting over here, trying to find them and then befriending them before they find my city-state, hopefully. Let's go ahead and grab another scout in here in case we do need to defend with this scout. The other thing we could do potentially is buy walls, although we haven't been going for walls, of course. We'd probably even get to walls before this game ends. Let's just grab castles. No, it's not worth it. We're not going to get there, so this is fine. We do have a lot of excess influence right now, though. We're not really meeting as many independent powers as I thought we would be, so once we sort of take our turn here and do a bit of exploring, if we don't find anyone, I'm just going to go ahead and start befriending more city-states so that we can incorporate them and get, +1 city that way. So again, we've got another settlement going down here. Very good to see. Corrali. +1 sneaking in here of Lapathus. And we've just got our 6th settlement in the distant lands over here, which is really nice. Looks like we can actually sneak in another settlement above Thenay as well. So let's go ahead and do that. It does look like we can fit quite a few more settlements up here. So what we're going to do is buy some more settlers down here in Ruscade with all of our gold. There you go, 2 more settlers, and that should at least cover us for the foreseeable future to settle over here and over on this island over here. Right, first settlement of the west is going down. So again, let's go ahead and grab the cheapest buildings we can over here. And that will allow us now in Malak to once again buy 2 more settlers. And we can start settling the western distant lands over here. How good. And you can see it's only turn 16 and we are at 104 points over here compared to 36. So, if my maths is correct, 6 times 36 is 180. 216, so 216 is what we're going for. We're at 104 right now. Feeling pretty good about this. Let's go ahead and start incorporating Canauge, because again, I'm just not seeing enough distant land settlements over here, or distant lands IPs that we can befriend. So yeah, let's go ahead and start incorporating where we can. Speaking of, we are taking some hits over here, trying to find Vilnius. There's Vilnius, so let's start befriending them. It's 8 turns until they're friendly with us. I'm not particularly confident we can actually survive 8 turns. I think it's probably worth it to get this down to 5. That should just make this whole situation a lot easier. It's just going to slow us down a lot, and it does suck to have to speed that up and use influence on that instead of incorporating, but I think it's going to pan out better in the long run. These fresh settlers can start heading over to our distant lands, which is just fantastic. So I mean, we're just finding nice little pockets of islands everywhere, which is exactly what you want to see when you're doing this. You could definitely still do this just settling in the homelands. I mean, there's probably an argument to be made that that would be just as simple, to be honest. I mean, there's, as you can see, just so much land around here to be settled. You wouldn't have to worry about all of this, mucking around in the distant lands. But, I mean, I guess this adds a little bit of flavor to the challenge run, right? Yet another distant land settlement going down over here, Libeum. And we're at now 24 settlements, which is feeling really good. We have another spot here we can take as well. I mean, if we were going for an economy run, by the way, this would be a fantastic game to try and get an economic win. We are just like flooded with treasure resources. So you can see, is this a joke strategy? Kinda, but it's also going to be an extremely fast win. And I think overall, I mean, this is, what the new victory conditions are like. They're very, I want to say, simplified. You can go look at any other video I've made to hear me rant about victory conditions. There's no shortage of thoughts on that, that's for sure. I'm just putting a bit of a scout conga line here to slow down their advance. So Malacca over here, we're going to keep buying even more settlers. There is so much land over here to settle, which is awesome. And if you're wondering what I'm cutting out from these turns, it's just a lot of growing towns. Fortunately, our first scout has gone down there. Hopefully we can just hold out a little longer into the Thenay. And we've just reached 25% of the age, make that 26, so we are halfway there. But as you can see, this growing town thing does get a little bit tedious, so I hope you don't mind me skipping all this. And look, I'm at the stage of my life now where I'm very happy to just be able to say, can I just set all these towns to, you know, automatically grow to whatever tile they think is, you know, seems fit. I could even give them, you know, town focuses. You know, I know that's pretty similar to specializations, but say, you know, hey, to the best of your ability, grow to science tiles. To the best of your ability, grow to production tiles. That would be amazing, particularly in the exploration and modern age. But honestly, add it as a toggle to the whole game. Why not? Anyway, back to the game. We've got one more island. It looks like we can settle here. I don't think we're going to be able to fit a second settlement on here, so we'll just keep moving around. It looks like we've actually managed to wrap around all the way to the homelands now. So this is where the scouting is going to get a little bit confusing. But I'd lay your evens that chances are there's going to be some distant lands to the north. If this is where his homeland sort of caps out, I'd say north is our best bet. And sure enough, there it is. So streamer luck right there. These guys can go ahead and again, we'll just keep settling this whole island of Malacca. We have managed to get our first cities down over here on the South Island. Just waiting on Vilnius in 4 turns to be friendly and desperately trying to hold out with the scouts over here. The good news is that Thenay can only be attacked one at a time, which is kind of the point of why I settled it on these peninsulas like this. Managed to pick up our first treasure convoy here. I don't think this guy's going to be making it home in time, but go on, have a crack. Even more land up here to settle. Love to see it. So this is why this settlement of Malacca was so crucial. You can see we managed to get 1 settler over here, and this has spawned like 8 settlements in the distant lands, which, you know, all in all, it's going to be like 40 military points. And it looks like we've just founded a new settlement here they've actually named this one after my subscribers. So that's a really cool, you know, little in-game Easter egg right there. Looks like another challenger approaches down here as well. So we are going to have to get some more scouts to see who's spawning stuff down here. Right, I'll continue to throw scouts into the scout altar here of Vilnius. And one more turn, we should be right. So this guy can defend. We are all good to go. Thenay has survived. So we've just settled a city in the distant lands here, and it appears that has completed the triumph for 16 settlements in the homelands, which, I mean, last time I checked, this is not the homeland, so not entirely sure why that just kicked off. Just got the triumph for being the first to navigate around the world there as well. So, I mean, how many more challenges do you want me to do in one run, guys? Like, come on. How much more can I be doing here? Tell me this isn't the best strategy in the game. Now, yes, my culture might be a little bit of a struggle, but, I mean, you know, everything else is going great. Okay, we have managed to find the city-state down here. It's got 5 turns until Napoleon gets it. I actually don't have much faith at all this city's going to make it, so we might lose someone here. We'll see how many scouts we can buy down here to clog up the pipeline. A treasure convoy too has spawned, so that's nice. Hopefully that'll slow them down. Yeah, the good news is we did lose our treasure fleet, so that was good bait. But one of the cogs has moved up here, so there's a chance we might be able to just clog up this whole line with scouts, which would be ideal. We would lose this settlement. That would be nice. And thankfully, it looks like Rusador will live to see another day. So thank you to Napoleon for the clutch save there. And speaking of city-states, we'll start incorporating Alachua. Okay, well, against the odds, the treasure convoy has managed to make it home. So cash that bad boy in, and there you go. 1 more economic attribute point. And there it is. So there's the Transcendent Victory tier. So now we can go ahead and activate our sleeper agents. You can see we need 264 victory points to get there. Let's see how we go. My game is just absolutely struggling right now. My computer's going to catch fire any moment. But it's worth it for the run. Some of these settlements are in pretty questionable positions, I cannot lie, but that's okay. Certainly not making many friends here as well, particularly Benjamin Franklin's not too happy about some of these settlements going up on his border. And if my game looks like a PowerPoint right now to you, that is exactly how it feels to me. The hardest part is just remembering where I left all these settlers, to be honest. Of course, there's no unit list in this game. In the Big 26, still no unit list. Firaxis, come on. And well, what do we have here? So, guys, here it is. 60 out of 20 settlements. All we did this game was queue up nothing but settlers for the entire game. We got a few production buildings at the start, fair play. And that was it. We have done nothing but settlers, no military units, and we have got the fastest possible military victory on deity difficulty. I mean, tell me this isn't broken. Tell me this isn't completely broken. If you're struggling to beat deity, go ahead and do what I did and just build nothing but settlers. This is the fastest possible victory in the game on the hardest difficulty, and it is just that easy. Now, is this a viable strategy? Well, yes and no, right? I mean, obviously, I don't think this is really what the devs were intending when they came up with the military victory, but is it a fun alternate way to win the game? And, is this what it means to not be railroady? Well, I guess so. This is certainly an alternate way of going about it and with a very specialized way of playing. Was this fun to play? Absolutely not. Almost the entirety of my gameplay has been doing this, which gets really disorientating after a while. I mean, this whole zoom in thing and change perspective gets really exhausting after a while. So, do not recommend doing this. But I mean, get a load of this. Like, it's got to be said, that is pretty satisfying to see, admittedly. Look, there it is. Let's go ahead and play these 5 turns out. And there we have it. So, I mean, what did you guys think of this? Is this fun? Is this a valid way to win a domination victory? Do you think this should be allowed, or should we possibly be tweaking the values such that conquered settlements are worth way more than they are right now? So yeah, flying around my empire here. Guys, what do we think about this? I mean, really, this is my kind of domination victory if you think about it. This was completely, no war domination, which I do enjoy. I am not the biggest fan of going to war. I find it pretty tedious, but I mean, this was definitely tedious in a different kind of way, and I don't think I'll be doing this challenge ever again if I can help it. So either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have a different strat you think would be better for this challenge, different leader, different civ, by all means let me know. I think Carthage is pretty hard to beat personally, but let me know down below, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, or possibly even more interesting content than this, because this was pretty boring. But thanks everyone. See you next time. Have a good one. Thank you as always to the channel members who support me month to month, which is Carsius, Int Paladin, Awesome Daisy, Chase Bandy, Tronty Wanty, Shamal TV, Chris1 Mac, and JLA7. Your support is very much appreciated.